You're not learning correctly. Probably. If you want to skip the yapping, there are timestamps in the description you can use to jump ahead to the replay analysis. In order to improve your skills, you need to learn how. But if you don't know how to learn, then you'll get nowhere. I learned this the hard way by repeatedly throwing myself into the brick wall that was trying to reach Mighty Ruler. Now, I'm not Paul Phoenix, so I couldn't just break through the wall in a single punch, but I realized that if I got the right tools, climbing it would be a breeze. So I stopped trying to break the wall, and I got myself a climbing kit, and I went over it. Okay, bad metaphors aside, knowing how to learn, in my opinion, is the most important part of improving in fighting games. I myself am a fighting game newbie, and Tekken 8 Ranked has been one of the greatest challenges for me to overcome in the last half a year of gaming. Thankfully, there are plenty of online resources available, such as the YouTuber FeedyX, character specialists who share their knowledge through character guides, and tournament footage of pro players at major events. All of these things helped me overcome the obstacles in my journey to Mighty Ruler. But the biggest thing I absorbed from my research was the art of learning. Most of my improvement stemmed from watching high-level gameplay, character guides, and most importantly, watching my own replays. You might have heard this a lot from more notable Tekken 8 content creators and pro players, but watching your replays is basically a cheat code to improvement. There are so many characters in this game with so many moves. To sit down and lab each character individually for hours on end would be exhausting. And that may have been the case prior to Tekken 8, but as Patrick Star once said to SpongeBob SquarePants, we have technology. And that's what I want to focus on in this video. I want to use some of my replays to show you how analyzing them truly got me to Mighty Ruler. The first set of replays I want to take a look at is me playing as Nina versus a Jin. A few things to note before we jump in. This is a quick play match, and I was trying to incorporate some new tech that I had just learned, as well as to find areas that I need improvement in. Not to use this as an excuse, but this was also my first game of the day. I did spend a decent amount of time, maybe like 30 minutes, warming up combos beforehand, but I didn't really lab anything else. Here are the settings that I use to analyze my footage back. For the sake of the video, I won't go too in depth on him, so here's a written out list of the reasons why I have the settings the way I have them. A major thing to pay attention to as you play are your bad habits. From this match and rewatching my games while editing, I've noticed a bad habit of mine is that I always use Nina's down back 3+4 and wall standing 3+4 a lot. This launcher is very unsafe, and even though I get a lot of reward from hitting it, more often than not, I find that it gets me killed. Other things I noticed are that I mash a lot when I get frustrated while I'm on the defense, usually just hoping that I can interrupt their offense with some random jab. This gets me poked down to pretty low HP, where a simple 50-50 or a rock paper scissors situation will get me killed. Okay, jumping into the replay now. Right off the bat, you can see that I'm playing a lot of backdashing and sidestepping, without any real purpose or intent. One thing you should ask yourself when watching your replays is, how did I die? More specifically, how did I get launched into a big damage combo? Right here, Jin hits me with his electric wind hook fist, and it takes a decent chunk of my life away, already just 7 seconds into the round. How did that hit me, you ask? Well, if you take a look at my input history, you can see right here, I was trying to sidestep. That tells me I need to be more careful with my movement options going forward. You'll see a lot of instances like this where I get a good counter hit launcher, but my follow-up is pretty weak. I'm not really going to focus on these instances too much, as there's something that is really recognizable and correctable, but I feel like it's worth pointing out at least this once.
Round 2. Fight.
Jin's 1-3-4 string is a pretty common string that I see in low to mid ranks. I got hit by it here myself, as I wasn't expecting it, but we'll talk a little bit more about it later. The rest of this round is pretty straightforward. I get rolled, not really much else to tell.
Round 3. Fight.
Another 1-3-4 string here, but we'll keep moving on. And again, I just get rolled. Very messy gameplay on my end, and I didn't truly play Tekken 8 here. What do I mean by that? Well, Tekken 8 is a game all about aggression. You might have read Twitter posts and Reddit posts or wherever posts, people complaining about how defensive Tekken isn't really rewarding. And while they addressed a lot of those concerns in the most recent patch 1.05 at the time of recording, this game overall is still pretty offense heavy. The aggressor typically has the advantage in most matchups, and defense is just difficult to maintain overall. And unless you're a prediction god, you'll probably crumble under the pressure and lose if you don't do anything about it. One thing I noticed I didn't use a whole lot was Nina's Power Crush move, her forward 1+2. It's something that I feel like I'm a lot better about using now, but I just wanted to point it out just to make you aware of it as well. Okay, let's go to the second replay now. Already, we could see one major improvement from the last game: aggression. I go for a sidestep 4 here after he blocks my down forward 1, and it pays off with this huge combo. However, you'll notice that as we break the wall, we're at a very awkward angle here. Now, this is a little bit more of a nitpick for myself, but understanding wall positioning better is something that I would like to improve on for tournament play. Here are some examples of how I could have handled this situation a little bit better. In terms of ranked play, I don't think this is something that's a really big deal for where I'm at Mighty Ruler, but it's something that I really ought to learn to incorporate in my gameplay a lot more smoothly. Sidewalls can be brutal.
You're finished. You're finished.
And here's that 1-3-4 string again, but this time you notice I blocked it. So here's where we're going to talk about it. This string is a high, low, low string that catches a lot of people off guard, but once you know to look for it, it has a lot of weaknesses. If the first 2 hits, well, hit, you can still block the third hit for a guaranteed 13 frame punish. If you manage to block the first high hit and the second low hit, then you can also go for a low parry if you think he'll finish the string. And if he doesn't, well, there is no downside and you can just go back to neutral. And as Nina, I can get a lot of damage off of a low parry. But even though I blocked this in this game, I didn't know how to punish it. So I do the dumb thing and I go for my favorite move, while standing 3+4. And now let me talk about why this is such a bad habit. Even though this move is an insanely rewarding launcher, it is -17 on block. If this Jin had that knowledge, I would have taken a significantly worse punish here. And this is why we watch our replays back. Regardless, his punish was small but significant. Now, here's a Jin string that I don't typically see done from a non-guaranteed punish. This is while standing 1-3-2-1-4-2. Wow, that is a mouthful. This is another one we'll revisit in just a moment. Here, I got a good sidestep on his hell sweep, but my punish was awful for 2 reasons. 1, it wasn't even a true punish. And 2, just like I mentioned earlier, the counter hit combo I got was awful. It wasn't even a combo, this is just garbage. Like I stated before, I'm not going to focus too much on this, but I could have gotten a lot more damage on this situation. Here are a couple of examples of launchers that I could have gotten for sidestepping guaranteed instead of going for a down back 2. And again, there's that while standing 1-3 blah 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 whatever string that he used last round. If you block the low part of the string, it puts Jin into a I stubbed my toe stance, and that's where you get a free launcher from crouch, assuming your character has one. One more thing when analyzing your replays is to give yourself some credit once in a while. I only got hit by this once last round, and I recognized it in this one, which led to a huge punish into what could have been a really good combo if it wasn't for the awkward wall position here. Granted, this string is pretty recognizable once you see it the first time, so it was pretty easy to block, but still feels good. This is just some more frame data knowledge here. If I had recognized that it was -13, I would have hit him with a back 1-4 or even a down forward 1-2 into a mix-up, something like that. My recommendation here is to find moves that you struggle with and note down the frame data so you can see whether you get a punish, whether it's still their turn, or whether you actually get to take your turn. A little bit at a time goes a long way, trust me. This whole round was another round where I didn't play true Tekken 8. More aggression would have been very good here in my opinion. Here's where I tried to go for that new tech I talked about earlier, but midway through, I forgot the correct setup. It should have been that poison breath into a wall running 2, into a forward 3, or I could have gone for Nina's little sweep, or some other frame trap option that would have been anything better than a down back 3+4. Other than that, the rest of this game is more of the same things that I've already pointed out. This replay was from a couple days before I did my rank up session, so I had a lot of time to sit and think on this game, as well as some others that I played that day. And here in this game, we see the fruits of my labor. I'm going to just let this one play out without any of the frame data or pausing, just to show you how much I already improved based on a little bit of research.
You're finished.
Round 3. Fight. Round 4. Fight.
You're finished.
Clearly, there were still a lot of mistakes that were made on my end, but overall there was a significant amount of improvement. Even though there were a lot of misinputs, a combo drop or two, and still that love of the down back 3 launcher, I was playing a lot more aggressively, and I knew how to punish the moves that I could punish, and I could do that frame trap that I was trying to practice. All of that combined was enough for me to go from barely not demoting back to Shinryu for a 3rd time, all the way up to Mighty Ruler with a 10-game win streak to end it off on. Though it wasn't a perfectly flawless session, and I had a couple of set losses here and there, it was still vastly improved from my last time playing the game. If you were to go back and watch my video from Garyu to Shinryu, or Shinryu to Tenryu, which you totally should by the way, you'd be able to point out a lot of the mistakes that I made in those games were significantly lessened in this last game that I played. And for some, it may not seem like much to rank up to Mighty Ruler. Mighty Ruler is probably a scrubby rank to a Fujin. But to a Fujin, a Tekken King is going to look at them just the same way. And that list will keep going on and on and on up until you get to the very tippity top of players who are all playing at such a high level, we can all only hope to get there one day. Well, maybe you guys, but I'll be there in no time. Jokes aside, my point is that we all have to start somewhere. And for me, my first step was to get that silly little purple PNG that says Mighty Ruler next to my name. And now from here, it's time to go get that silly little blue one that says Fujin. And that will do it for the replay analysis part of this video. The rest of it's going to be a little bit more of just me yapping and blabbering on. So if you don't want to see that, thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe if you want to see my climb up to Fujin. I'd really appreciate it. And turn on notifications so you don't miss an upload. I've been Toweletta, and I hope you've learned the art of learning. At least a little bit. And for those of you who are sticking around to this little yap sesh, yeah, that's right. Toweletta. If you're one of the few people who've subscribed to me recently, or are someone who's a friend of mine or family member that's supporting my videos, which I super appreciated that, so thank you so much, you would have noticed that my name was the Toxonomical Towel before. And while that was great and all, I felt like it didn't really feel like who I was anymore. And a large part of that is you may have clocked it, or you may have noticed that I am transgender, and I've gone through the process of already changing my name, not legally, but socially. And I just felt like the Toxonomical Towel is a remnant of an old age. And while I'm not that old, it just felt more appropriate to also kind of change my usernames on all of my platforms and social media. I feel like a username is very important to someone in a gaming space, as it's basically a second name for them to go by. And I felt like people would read the Toxonomical Towel and just assume the default, oh, that's a dude, that's a guy. And that just really started to bother me, I feel like. And while I know it's still not super obvious that I identify as a woman, especially with my voice, I'm working on vocal feminization, practicing and vocal training and things like that. But it's something that I feel like at least leaning more into a feminine persona would help a lot with the dysphoria that I feel online, which is weird to say. I feel more dysphoric online than I do offline, which is just, usually it's backwards, but I don't know. Anyways, I told you this was a little bit of a yap session, but I'm gonna bring that yap session to a close here. Again, thank you if you stuck around to the end here. I hope you continue to support my channel. I am hoping that maybe one day I can get somewhere with this. I would really love to hit 100 subscribers within like a year or so. I don't know if that's too unreasonable or far-fetched, but I think it would be kind of awesome to just see that number go up. Big number make brain go woo. So anyways, again, I am that's the wrong one. I am Toweletta. Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you aren't already, and I will see you in my road to Fujin. Take care.